concerning that part, it is about the technicalities of the law. That's why I was mentioning the legal minds that need to be here also. If there are technical questions, then they are the ones who always furnish the information to the minister. The general part of this law, I can talk about that. It is a law on the combating of money laundering that is executed by customs. The information that customs submits when meeting cross-border money transfers are sent to the FIU, to the MOT. And we investigate those transactions and we submit them if it triggers suspicion of money laundering or terrorist financing, then we submit those to the public prosecutor. So basically, that's what it's about. And the changes in the law are on the amount. It was 20,000 or more needs to be reported to customs. It also regards that it will not only cover money transfers, cross-border money transfer, but all things of value are added to the law. So if you have an expensive chair, for example, then that value needs to be reported to the customs if it exceeds 25,000 guilders. And the minister will now submit the form in digital form to the passengers when traveling in and out of St. Martin. So it counts for both people going off island with the amount, 25,000 or more in value, or when they come into St. Martin. That's basically what this law is about, with the changes.
Is there any relation to the reason for this change? Is that in relation to facilitating any increase in border control as per agreements made with the Dutch government? Does this amendment affect, and even this law, affect our open border with the French side on the north? So does this include that? And how does this then relate to the Treaty of Concordia? So does this then conflict with that treaty? Within that duty to report, do the persons who keep the sums of money at home fall under a duty to report? So this is, people save their monies on their own, or is this only specifically for traveling in and out of the country? What amounts then, or are we looking at having any type of control on sums of money, currencies, etc., value of property kept within your homes? Can border control agents, customs agents, with this law, use this law to stop persons and or vehicles crossing our borders and search them? Can this be used to search vehicles as well as passengers when traveling in and out of the country? As we know, St. Martin has a hub function, so have we thought about how this affects that? Persons using St. Martin to go to other territories within the vicinity. In Article 5, there is mention of the word verdenking. That's a very broad term. Who decides on suspicion? And it is said that the minister has to make a report public, but it does not state how and in which way this report has to be made public. Can that be clarified further? Madam Chair, I think that it is important that, it still would have to come to a public meeting, but that we get a more detailed presentation on some of the repercussions of this law, because we have had laws in the past where it's necessary, it's a must because of X, Y, or Z, and that's why I asked why it was necessary. And then later on, we see the actual repercussions and what can actually be done that is actually was not understood at the beginning when legislatures agreed to whatever changes that came. So I would really like for total clarity to be made, and especially if we can do it at Central Committee and then changes need to be made, then they can be proposed and worked on and then be represented if necessary.
Madam Chair, if you look, two of the changes they want to make, two of de changes being proposed. Bij landsbesluit houden de algemene maatregelen kan het bedrag als bedoeld in artikel 2 eerste lid worden gewijzigd. In other words, yeah, we are as Parliament being asked to approve a law, but within this law, it is actually giving some serious powers to the government through landsbesluit, LBHAM, to actually make further changes to what we already approved. Now, what those changes could be, we will never know, because that can be this government, it could be a future government that can decide, you know what, let's change this amount to 10,000 guilders, or let's change it to 50,000 guilders. And based on what? Of course, they have to write the law and justify it and such. But the point is, I want to make it very clear, there are elements in this law, if approved by Parliament, that can further be changed by the government, and that will not need parliamentary approval. Another one, if you look at het derde lid van artikel 6, says bij ministeriële regeling kunnen regels worden gesteld omtrent de vereisten waaraan de in het eerste lid bedoelde ambtenaren dienen te voldoen. So again, more ministerial regulations can be added to this law. This law will empower them to add even more regulations. They may be good, but they may not be in the best interest of the country. But it will all be up to the opinion of the government at that time. Can we get confirmation on what the purposes were of adding these parts to the law? Now, I would suppose, because of the lengthy legislative process that we have, ministers tend to, or ministries in drafting laws, tend to want to say, well, to avoid having to come to Parliament every time with a law amendment, which is a lengthy process, you know what, let's instead put these items in there. Now, I understand the effort, but it's something I'm very wary of.
It's been said that behind every door, possibility awaits. How much possibility depends on which door you open first. Every day, we help our customers discover the possibilities in their lives. It all starts with a conversation. Scotiabank. Discover what's possible.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
With the cost of living increase of 2.71%, that was announced yesterday. when we look at how much in reality people will get in their pocket, we see that it doesn't take them out of poverty. So this topic will address the fact that we are of the opinion that a minimum not to be in poverty should be introduced now. As we have been quoting in former press conferences, on page 22 of the report of Transparency International, we can read the latest census survey of 2011 results show that 75% of all households have less than 4,000 guilders or $2,222 in gross income per month. Using the Nibud norm for St. Martin, this would mean that more than 75% of the St. Martin households live under the poverty line. If we apply the annual inflation rates since December 2010 provided by the Stat, the Department of the Ministry of Tiat, then the 4,000 guilders of the census of 2011, adjusted to the cost of living increase, is now 4,850 guilders or $2,695. In other words, because of the cost of living increase, all households with an income of less than 4,850 guilders a month, or US 2,856 US dollars, are in poverty. As poverty is a violation of human rights, we have to address this human rights violation now. In the state, the Kingdom of the Netherlands, the social protection floor includes the establishment of a minimum wage. The social protection floors, including the minimum wages in the Caribbean part of the kingdom, are much lower than the minimum wage in the Netherlands, where according to the Nibud study in Bonaire, the cost of living in Bonaire is much higher than in the Netherlands. The cost of living in St. Martin is much higher than in the Netherlands. As of January 2019, the gross minimum wage in the Netherlands is €1,615 per month, up from €1,594 in July last year. In the Netherlands, the minimum wage is indexed twice a year, on January the 1st and on July the 1st. This to maintain the purchasing power for the minimum wage earners. Based on the human rights equality principle to be upheld in each state, per January 2019, the equal minimum wage would equal in St. Martin $1,858 or 3,345 guilders a month. We all know that the official minimum wage in St. Martin is 1,500 guilders for the 40-hour work week, 1,722 guilders for the 45-hour work week, and 1,837 guilders for the 48-hour work week. This is not even half of the minimum wage in the Netherlands. The Transparency International conclusion that a two-person household here in St. Martin needed at least a combined income amount of 4,000 guilders or $2,222 a month not to be in poverty, assuming that the cost of living in St. Martin would be the same as in Bonaire, has to be adjusted now to the cost of living increase since 2011. Everybody knows that the cost of living in St. Martin is the highest. In the Kingdom of the Netherlands, our authorities still behave like ostriches, putting their head in the sand. The Household Budget Survey of the Stat Department of 2015, the data from our own government concluded that 94% of the households have a combined income of less than 4,000 guilders or $2,222 a month. combining two minimum wages, in other words, will total between 3,000 and 3,337 guilders a month, which is less than the 4,000 guilders or the $2,222 US dollars a month. In other words, the minimum wages in St. Martin are still not living wages, but poverty wages.
Hey ma, how you doing? You busy?
I hear, just paying some bills, taking care of business, you know what it is?
I know, you're doing your online banking.
I don't have to stand in those long lines to pay bills. I can transfer when I want. I can check my account wherever. It's like the bank open 24/7. I even here checking the statement right now as we're talking. How's Miami?
Well, that's why I'm calling. I'm finishing up a few songs now, but I'm afraid that studio time might be more than I thought. And I was wondering if I could get some help with some funds, and I could pay you back as soon as I get back to St. Martin.
Let me check my account. How much you need?
I think 500 should be enough.
I can transfer it to you while online. Direct from me to you. No problem.
Great. Thank you so much, Ma. I'll get online with Bib now.
Alright, darling. You know who you're for? I need to know who you're for.
Contact WIB today for your complete personal online banking experience. Available for all mobile devices, the Wynwood Islands Bank, now your online banking partner in progress.
You would be able to build stronger. If you have to build a house, what type of house would you build? A concrete house? But you told me you saw some houses built from concrete that the walls went down.
Because them house they have like concrete different. You have concrete like you see all like the builders post them like they have it and stuff like that. But not blocks because they have the steel thing you wanna go through.
Okay, you mean they have steel that goes in.
Because some of house them they just have like one there and escape like 5 blocks, they put it there again and they're not strong.
Okay, that was not strong. Okay, I'm now going to be talking to Shakira. Shakira, which school are you attending?
Sister Marie Laurence.
Sister Marie Laurence, and you are in?
Grade 6.
In grade 6. Okay. Your experience when you got to school, because you live at the same home with her, but when you got to school, was your school damaged?
We had to go to Sister Marta because our school roof went. It had a lot of damage to it.
Mm-hmm.
My class got damaged also. No. Mostly our class had to go to Sister Magda.
Which is in a whole different district.
Yes.
So how did you get there? Your parents had to take you there?
Yes.
Or you would go to this Mary Lawrence and then they would take a bus and take you all there?
No, my parents.
Your parents had to take you to Sister Magda. So which means that Sister Magda did not get any damage?
No.
No, they were not hardly any damage. Okay. And were you able to do the same hours or was it on a shift basis?
It was the same hours.
The same hours. So they had enough space at the Sister Magda to accommodate you as students?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. What did you notice? The students, all the students, you're grade 6 now. So last year you were grade 5. So all the students of your grade returned to school the same time, or once the school was reopened, you only had a few students back at school?
We had a few, then every day passed, like more children started to come.
Okay, so every day some more would come. And did you all at school talk about the experience?
Yes.
What you experienced during the hurricane?
Yes.
And did you know if your teachers also had damage at their homes? They did not talk to you as students about their experience
Yes,
at their home?
piece, but not the whole thing.
Okay, only certain areas, but not the whole thing. Okay. Now, were you able to do sports after the hurricane at school?
Yes.
So in the new facilities where you went to the Sister Magda, you were able to do sports because your sports and your gym hall at your school was also damaged?
Yes.
Okay. And tell me your experience of what are some of the things that after the hurricane, even though you were sad, that you really like once you start to go back to school? What was the experience?
I like that all my friends was there, and that my teacher was there, and everybody was there. Maybe one or two went to a different country, but
Okay. And at school, were you feeling safe at school?
yeah,
So you had a regular hours at school, or your school was until later in the afternoon?
same hours.
The same hours. And once you return home, were you able to make your homework?
Yeah.
You got the same amount of homework or just less?
Less.
Less homework, but you got homework. Okay. Now, in the future, what do you think schools need to do once they're going to have a hurricane?
I think they should prepare better. They should secure the books and all the equipment more better.
And the materials?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because they just put some plastic bags over the computers, but that was it, and it still got damaged.
Due to the fact that we have contact of this evaluation of the children, listening to the children speak out, in collaboration with the UNICEF, the results of this would also be made known to them. And it is very important that within the community, not only the government and the older people and the parents speak out, but that the children, because the children of today are the adults and the future of tomorrow. So therefore, this organization, the UNICEF, they are also involved in looking at the rights of the children and listening to the how you would say, the experience of the children in preparing for the future. So we will have some follow-up sessions.
roads of Curaçao. You can say that we have good roads, but we have also like 30% of the roads that are in very bad condition, and we have to deal with that. For that, we want to make a new road plan to handle that in a couple of years. That is one of them. We are making sure that we are maintaining the roads at this point also, so that we avoid that they get worse, the roads get worse. We are working on that. In 2019, you will hear more about it also. The people in 2018 were very happy with what we did in the night hours on certain roads. We plan, since that gave a very good result, we plan to use this method more often in 2019. Concerning roundabouts, rotondas, we see the roundabouts as a safety measure in our traffic. What we have as a characteristic in our traffic is that the people really drive through the red light. They don't respect it, and that is also the cause of many accidents and even deaths. So through the years, we started to implement the roundabouts, and we have at this point approximately 20 roundabouts on the island, and it is safer than the traffic light.